What's up, everyone? I am the Kaiju no Kami. And yeah, I know, I've been kind of slacking on my quickie reviews as of late. I've just been way too busy with work to do them. So I figured I'd just do a little mini 2023 movie recap of the few movies I've actually gone to see so far. Let's start it off with Megan, which was the first one of the year I saw. Megan was a pretty good time. It was fun, enjoyable, had legitimate moments of suspense. I know there was this whole big thing because the movie was PG-13 and they had reshot some scenes to be PG-13, but I have to say it actually worked in the movie's favor. I am not against PG-13 movies for horror. I have seen some PG-13 movies pull off really intense scenes. So I wasn't all like, oh my god, but when you have a movie that says they intentionally reshot scenes to be PG-13, that's when it's like, okay, But it worked. It worked really well. There was only one scene that I really believe was truly edited. The rest were done exceptionally fun. It was a good time. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. I have not rewatched it since theaters. I don't really feel like I need to. I mean, I liked it a lot, but it's not one that I was like, oh my god, I must watch this again. But it was still an 8 out of 10. After that, I saw Shin Ultraman. Shin Ultraman was also excellent. It's a fun time, very light on plot. It was kind of like they just took multiple episodes of the original Ultraman series, remade them, and then edited them together as one long movie. There wasn't a lot in the way of character development for our lead character. The designs of the monsters and aliens were really cool. The music was great. I loved that the opening redid the Ultra Q theme and established the SSSP. I like that they try to take like a realistic approach to it because it was different than Ultraman. It's not the direction I want to see Ultraman fully going, but for what it was, I liked it. I thought the designs were really unique. I am curious as to how some of those would translate into toy form, specifically figure arts. But it was a good time. The fights were cool. Yeah, sometimes it did look like a video game playing, especially during the Ultraman Mayfella scene. Was kind of wonky. Overall, though, the effects were much better than Shin Godzilla, and for all the excessive use of CGI, it worked well. It kept me engaged. I do look forward to eventually reviewing that when it does come out on Blu-ray. I have pre-ordered it. If you missed it in theaters, it's coming out in June. I will say there were a few times when the subtitles flew by off the screen too quickly. It was like they would get through half character speaking and the subtitles would just go away, even though the character still had half their lines. But it was like someone was like, well, they stopped talking, so I guess the dialogue's over. Even though it's like that normal thing where Japanese just pause for a moment and then they continue their sentence. That was kind of annoying, but I was happy it didn't have text everywhere. The opening, the very first moment, was also a really nice homage, whichever you prefer, to how Ultraman came from Ultra Q, with Shin Godzilla becoming Shin Ultraman in the swirly thingamajig. That was pretty neat. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil the rest of the movie. After that, I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, or Ant-Man 3. Yeah. Where to start on this one? What I liked about the movie. Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors as Kang saved this movie. He was the best thing about it. He's the only thing that makes the movie worth watching. I just wished he had his costume, or at least his mask, on at all times. That was the one thing that I hated about this movie, is their masks just would randomly disappear and they'd talk, then their mask would come back on, they'd have a little battle, then their mask would come off and go back. It was very annoying. Like, people, we know who you're playing at this point. We don't need to see your face every 30 seconds. I'm not going to suddenly forget Paul Rudd as Ant-Man if he's wearing a mask for more than 30 seconds. Anyway, I was supposed to be talking about the positives. Kang was the positive. He was really cool. Majors played him great. Yes, he's underpowered, but I felt it kind of worked with the confines of what the story was telling, that it's not Kang at his most powerful. Everything else, well, It's still not as bad as Thor Dark World, but it is worse than the Eternals. Everything else didn't work. Paul Rudd had no chemistry with Lily in this one. Evangeline Lilly just seemed like she didn't actually care about the role she was in. She was poorly written. Her motivations were she just didn't feel like the same character. She didn't feel like the same character from the last movies. She had no chemistry with Paul Rudd in this. Like, I don't know what happened, but they just stopped gelling together. I have no idea why they recast Cassie again. The new girl was... I mean, she wasn't bad, but I don't know why they recast her. They just rushed way too into the quantum world way too quickly without any build-up, and the whole plot felt like they just took ideas from Strange World and Star Wars and meshed them together haphazardly and called it an Ant-Man movie. Again, the whole helmet thing doesn't make sense because I could have sworn there was a specific reason they had their helmets. I could have sworn the first movie had said they can't go into the shrink and be small without the suits fully on and the helmets. Otherwise, it would destroy their organs. Now, someone said it was only for when they transform big or small, but I thought it was that they couldn't take them off in either form because it would mess them up. That they could only take them off when they were fully alive. I could be wrong, though. I mean, obviously, Janet survived the quantum realm without a costume, so... And somehow she aged in there, even though they said that you can't age back in the first movie. Whatever. Anyway, yes, Ant-Man 3 sucked. However, I haven't even got to the worst part, which was MODOK. MODOK. He's a giant head dude with tiny arms and tiny legs. In the comics, originally at least, he was treated as a credible threat. When he is first appears in Captain America, he has taken control of all of AIM with his powers. They were the ones that created him. He turned against them and took over AIM. He was a threat. He nearly defeated Captain America. Cool. Then here they turned him into a comic relief character who made no sense, and some of the worst CGI in the entire MCU imaginable. Like, this was early 2000s Hulk quality CGI. Like Matrix Revolutions and Reloaded quality CGI. It's like they just took the actor's head and stretched it out onto the MODOK body. MODOK in the comics is a deformed creature. He has a huge mouth. He has wrinkles, pure white eyes, weird hair. And he's supposed to be this deformed individual that's scarred up. Not just a dude that they stretch his face out over a circle. And like I said, they turned this guy into a comic relief joke character. He had no threat level whatsoever. He was an idiot. Terrible dialogue. The actor did a horrible job of the character. I thought Taskmaster was bad, but goddamn, they have just made the worst MCU character to date. I like MODOK. Other people are like, well, he's supposed to be a joke character from what I grew up with. Cool. That's not the MODOK I know. The MODOK I know should be treated seriously. And even the writer's like, well, they were never going to do him seriously. Well, then maybe they should have gotten a good writer to write this movie instead of someone who doesn't understand the character. But anyway, yeah. Oh, shit, I forgot to give a score. Shin Ultraman, I would also give an 8 out of 10 too. And for Ant-Man 3, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Because Thor Dark World is a 4. And like I said, it's better than Dark World. A 5 out of 10, all because of Jonathan Majors. And then finally, for movies of this year, I did just see Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear was an interesting experience. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was a fun time. Way better than Ant-Man 3. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. I didn't want to go see it. I kind of got dragged to see it, but I'm glad I saw it. I enjoyed it. It was ridiculous, and yet they did a really good job just building the movie up. I thought the movie was going to be, oh, we're just going to get all these people into a forest in like the first 10 minutes and they're all going to start getting killed off by the bear and that's going to be the whole movie. No, they actually built these characters up to get them to the forest. And it's like 4 different plots going on, converging them all into one location to build it up. And some of the characters actually don't cross paths with each other. I was actually quite impressed in that aspect. So you know what? Cocaine Bear was worth seeing. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 just because it was a fun time. Now, I won't go say, oh my god, this is the most hilarious comedy movie ever, because while it did have comedy bits, I won't say it was strictly comedy. It was played pretty straightforward, which I also give it credit for. So good on ya. Good on you, Cocaine Bear. And it was cool to see Ray Liotta in his final movie. What's weird is I feel like there was a scene, I don't know if it was in Goodfellas, maybe Casino, where Ray Liotta was put on, like, given makeup to look older, and, or maybe it was, Blow. Maybe it was the movie Blow, where he played, maybe it was that. Did he play Johnny Depp's dad in that movie? But either way, Ray Liotta in this movie looked just like the way he looked when they put old makeup on him in another movie he was in back in the 90s. I was like, wow, he looks just like he did in that other movie. I'm impressed. They got that right. So yeah, overall, those are the movies I've seen so far of 2023. I wish I had got to do full quickie reviews of them when they first came out, when I first saw them, but I figured now would be the better time, as they say, better late than never, to do a review of just little basic thoughts on them. If you're only going to check one of the 4 out, I'd say either check out Shin Ultraman, of course, or Megan. Those would be my top 2 picks. Avoid Ant-Man 3 if you're not an MCU fan. And if you're tired of the MCU and you are an MCU fan, avoid Ant-Man 3 as well. At least the post-credit scene was really cool as well. Definitely looking forward to seeing where it leads to. But this entry, yeah. That's all I've got. What have you seen so far in 2023? Let me know in the comments below. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, anything else YouTube has you clicking on to support me. You can support me on Patreon at Kaiju no Kami, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord at Kaiju no Kami, my website, creativitybydesignllc.com, and my shop, which is creativitybydesignllc.com/shop. Or you can click on the link in the description below to buy cool Kaiju no Kami merchandise. That's all I've got, and just so you know, I have just recently recorded my review for Kamen Rider Ryuki just before I record this video, so that will be in the coming weeks. Until next time, bye.